In the part 1 of this video series, we listed 4 steps on how to use the body weight percentage formula to determine how much raw dog food diet to feed your dog. Now, here's the 5th step. Step 5, consider your dog's size. When you want to determine how much raw dog food diet to feed your dog, avoid working with a linear feeding mindset. That is, don't assume that food volume will increase linearly as size increases. So, it's not true that a 25-pound dog would eat half of what a 50-pound dog would eat. That's not how it works. In fact, smaller dogs eat more, considering their body weight, than larger dogs. Solely Raw, a raw feeding expert, explains that small breed adults should always begin at a higher percentage of food per day. And you should never feed your small breed adult less than 4 ounces of food every day. It's not enough. She suggests a regimen as a guideline, of course, adjusting for body condition where necessary. For dogs at 10 pounds and under, feed 4 ounces per day. Dogs at 20 pounds and under should be fed 6 ounces per day. Finally, dogs at 30 pounds and under should eat about 10 ounces of raw food per day. Most small toy breeds and small dogs are overweight mostly because dog parents are always convinced that their dogs are too thin and always feel that urge to fatten them up. Toy breeds consume a lot of treats in comparison to large dogs and are notorious for being spoiled with food. If your small breed is like this, you need to make some lifestyle changes for the sake of your dog's health. Overfeeding your dog won't help him in the long run. Some frequently asked questions concerning how much raw dog food diet you can feed your dog. 1. My dog is begging, is he hungry? The thing about healthy dogs is that they are almost always ready to eat. So, if they see food anywhere, they are very likely to be interested and want to eat. That's their natural behavior. You should never take your dog's begging as a sign that he is hungry, neither should it influence how much food you feed your dog. 2. Why is my dog losing weight on a raw food diet? Raw dog food diets do tend to cause dogs to lose weight, especially if you are in the transition process from processed pet food to completely raw. The reason for this is that your dog's body assimilates raw food differently from how it processes starch-based, processed pet foods. It's like switching from eating constantly at McDonald's to a diet comprising fruits, veggies, and lean meat. Even if you eat the same number of calories as when you were eating at McDonald's, you'd still lose weight on the second diet because of the way your body will process the new diet. So, just observe your dog. If he looks like he needs his rations adjusted, then simply adjust them. 3. The quantity of my dog's food looks too small on this raw diet. Why? In working out how much to feed their dog, most dog owners observe that it seems like the quantity of food is a little too small, especially compared to what their dog was eating before, and naturally, this worries them. However, there's really nothing to worry about. Raw dog diets are typically rich in calories as they contain more fat than regular kibble, which contains mostly starch. In fact, you have twice as many calories per gram as you have in carbs and proteins. So, from the angle of the volume of the food, the quantity of food your dog might be eating might seem smaller than what he was eating with his kibble. 4. Can I feed 2 of my dogs the same quantity of food? Dogs are individuals and their metabolisms vary. So, even if your 2 dogs are the same age, gender and breed, and even size, it does not necessarily imply that you should feed both dogs the same. In most cases, you'd have to tweak the quantity of raw food you feed your dogs to suit their individual needs. 5. Does a raw food calculator work? There are many raw food calculators online, and they work. They will definitely make your work much easier, but it's better for you to be more involved in your dog's feeding rather than leaving it to a computer program to do everything for you. Definitely, when you first start feeding your dog a raw diet, there will be a learning curve. It's better to take the time to learn and find out what works for your dog so you can decide for yourself when his diet needs to be tweaked and just how it should be tweaked. Everything becomes simpler soon enough. 6. Is raw feeding expensive? No, it's not that expensive. The raw dog food diet controversy. We think it important to show you another side of the discussion on raw feeding for dogs. As a dog owner, you deserve to know all the sides of the story even as you make the decision to transition to raw feeding. It might interest you to know that many experts caution against raw feeding, including the FDA. In 2001, Lisa M. Freeman, DVM, PhD, published a research in the Journal of the American Veterinary Association. This research was an evaluation of certain raw dog food diets. After her research, she warned dog owners about raw feeding for dogs, urging them not to go with this diet just because of what they've read and seen online. If you want to avoid feeding your pup commercial food, Dr. Freeman advises that you opt for cooked homemade food instead. One that is designed by a vet nutritionist with a certification from the American College of Veterinary Nutrition. She further explains that the many benefits which supporters of the raw diet attribute to raw feeding, like a shinier dog coat, is as a result of the fact that most raw dog food diets are high in fats. She further explains that dogs who are fed high-fat commercial pet foods will also have shinier coats without risking malnutrition as a result of an unbalanced diet. Of the 5 raw dog food diets that Freeman evaluated, 2 were commercially available while 3 were homemade. In the end, she found all 5 to either have nutritional deficiencies or nutritional excesses which pose serious health risks to dogs if fed to them long-term. Joseph Wachschlag DVM, Ph.D., further buttresses Freeman's point. He says he's met dogs with weak bones, poor coats, and bad skin. According to him, too little fat will produce a bad coat and too much fat could also cause mild anemia. He also points out that many homemade raw dog food diets lack the appropriate amount of calcium and phosphorus needed for proper bone and teeth development. This will eventually lead to dental issues and bone fractures. However, according to the assistant professor of clinical nutrition at the Cornell University College of Veterinary Medicine, even when calcium and phosphorus are available in their appropriate amounts, they might still be difficult for a dog's body to properly assimilate because of the quality of the diet. Bacterial contamination is another reason professionals are wary of raw dog food diets. In 2006, 20 commercially available raw meat diets were evaluated and 7.1% contained salmonella while 59.6% contained E. coli. When these bacteria are passed in the feces, they become a risk to humans as well. It is worthy to note that in this same study, 4 dry and canned dog foods were sampled as well and E. coli was found in all. Do these concerns have any merit? Raw dog food supporters often say that raw dog foods are as contaminated as commercially processed pet foods as well as meat for humans. Neuven, a raw feeding expert, opines that the concern about bacterial contamination in a raw dog food diet is overblown. He explains that when feeding your dog raw food, you already know it's not exactly sterile. So, you need to be more careful when handling raw food and wash your hands afterward. For commercial raw food manufacturers, the FDA has suggested that manufacturers tackle the problems associated with raw dog food diets, including adding the appropriate phosphorus needed for proper bone development. Raw meat diets high in liver also tend to supply the body with too much vitamin A. This could lead to vitamin A toxicity in the long run. It's important that even veterinary doctors who support raw feeding, like Neuven, say that raw feeding is not for all dogs. They are definitely not for dogs with severe liver failure or late-stage kidney failure. This is because raw diets are quite high in proteins. Neuven also recommends that dog owners who have dogs with pancreatitis or similar digestive issues should transition to a raw diet slowly, beginning with a homemade diet until symptoms clear up. Finally, dogs with immunosuppressive diseases, cancer, or dogs on chemotherapy should not be placed on a raw dog food diet, same as puppies. If you fail to get the calcium to phosphorus ratio correctly, your dog will end up with growth issues and severe bone deformities, as Neuven explains. Did you enjoy this video? Click the subscribe button below and hit the notification bell so you'll know once we post a new video. Also drop a comment below so we can know your thoughts. Finally, don't forget to check the description below for more details and visit our site www.dogproductsguide.com for more awesome dog product content like this.